Good evening.
Good evening.
How are we? Yes, I'm good. I'm good. You?
Yeah. It's been a while since we've done one of these, so
It has. It has. Many things have happened in between, but we are back. And I'm going to try and slightly adjust this so people can see me.
yeah.
This is, of course, a new setup as well. I got my new standing desk, so I'm still trying to figure out what works. So this is all new. First time streaming with it.
If you'd seen us 15 minutes ago, that was nothing, pretty much.
Oh, I know, mic issues and you name it. But we are here, we are good, and we are back. I'm glad to be back. It's been a while. It's been have to remember exactly what we're doing, to be honest.
Yes, we were doing container apps last time I checked. So for the quick recap, we are building a game, sort of. We are sort of heading in a rough direction of a game. We might eventually, or may never get there.
Who knows?
The idea was to build effectively a business management simulator,
yes,
based around the idea of running a bar in space. So think Star Wars Cantina, think
other sci-fi shows are available.
Other sci-fi, yeah, exactly. 10 Forward from Star Trek. There you go. I'll do another one as well. And we have built 3 APIs using 2 different languages. We have produced GitHub Actions to deploy those to an environment. The last time we were on, we were talking about using federated identity with GitHub Actions, which was very cool and something I'd not done before. So I was quite impressed with that.
That's how we ended it, wasn't it? I remember that.
Yeah, so we've got to the stage where we can deploy our environment, I think. Oh no, we'd authenticated, but we hadn't actually deployed the environment.
Yes.
I think I have subsequently deployed the environment again, so we can either focus on getting that that environment deployed through GitHub Action.
Say that one more time, quicker.
Whatever. It's a long day. So we can get stuff deployed. We can get the environment deployed via the GitHub Action that we created last time.
Very well done.
Or we can get the apps deployed to the container app environment that we have there. And both are good options. And we're for the record, we are using GitHub packages to store our Docker images, because I don't think either of us had ever done it before.
No.
And actually, this is a bit of a running theme of this stream, is that we pick things that we maybe not the most familiar with and try to get them to work.
Exactly.
So GitHub packages was a good example of that, and the federated identity was another one.
So, should we deploy some apps? I think that could be fun.
Think we should deploy apps. I think that's the right way to go, because that's getting something up and running, then, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Just need to refresh my memory where we are on workflows. So I think we pushed to the registry, didn't we? We didn't get as far as writing an action to.
And then if you go into that base infrastructure file as well, my copy of it.
Yes.
So this was the bit. So we got as far as being able to prove that we could log into Azure using the federated identity.
Yes.
Which worked really well. And I think the intent of this one, which I suspect we'll come back to at another point, was to then deploy the bicep files that we have for infrastructure as code.
Indeed, that's it. All doing lovely passwordless authentication, which is nice.
Yeah. Cool.
Which, in fairness,
everywhere now.
Which, in fairness, we could probably do for the app. We can just borrow what we did, because we can just use the environments, all the work that we did before, carry it on here. So, good job, Pastas. Saving time. Love it.
I know.
Good. Okay, so then let's think about what we need to do, what we want the trigger to be from a application deployment perspective, and what that life cycle looks like, I suppose, because we've got some decisions there. We could either, I'm pretty sure we could do it with a GitHub action trigger pushed to the package, actually.
Is there a trigger on a new package published?
I can't say I've ever tried.
Again, this is another perfect example of we've never done it before. Let's try it.
Let's say registry package. Yeah, there we go. When a new package is published. And
Okay.
you can also do updated. But in the event of kind of being transparent and talking about the challenges of that, I suppose, is then do we want it to automatically push as soon as there is a new image? What if we push something which isn't production? We've not got any way of filtering that out of the box. We could obviously add our own if statements, etc., in the deployment, but
Yeah.
just
So
thinking of the life cycle.
yeah, so the patterns, it's an interesting one because the patterns that you could use there would be to put some sort of tagging convention on your package, almost a pre-release tag. It's the same thing you get in things like npm and NuGet packages, where you effectively at certain points in the pipeline you would tag something with a particular prefix, and then only deploy if it's not got that or if it's got a release prefix on it or something.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas that we'd have to. Sure, there's some information that we would get in the GitHub event which would come through, which I think is this actually. But then we'd have to do some kind of manipulation to say, hey, if the name contains this, then deploy it. So my brain can't handle that tonight. So I think let's just keep it simple.
Let's push it out every time we get a new package that gets pushed in.
Yeah, so if we keep it super simple, just do an extra stage after this workflow for now.
Yep.
After this stage, I should say, this job. So let me jump across to VS Code. We are in main. And let's go for decisions. So I'm just going to zoom in a bit there. Oh, not that much. Oh, it's okay. Actually, I'll go in one more just for the clarity on the stream. Right, so we are one indentation level in on the job name, and it looks like we are using a level of 4 indentation there. Why am I doing that?
Do we want to set up the resources that we're going to need to deploy first, or do we want?
You mean into? Excuse me. Is that the base infrastructure that you're talking about there?
So we've got the base infrastructure, but I'm thinking to deploy something into an app, into a container app environment, we need to either use the AZ container app command to deploy it, or we need to have a bicep file.
Yes.
And the other thing that's just sprung to mind as well is that at the point where before we can deploy our container app, we need to deploy our Dapper component.
Yes.
We won't have yet.
Can you not do it as part of the same bicep template? Well, I mean, I guess that assumes you're going down the bicep path.
Yeah, but I think there's an interesting discussion to have there around. So the Dapper components are scoped to the container app environment.
Yep.
So where do you want those to be managed? Do you want those to be managed as part of the infrastructure, quote unquote, even though they are scoped or they can be scoped to one or more applications?
Like, can you? It's been a while since I've looked at it now, but is there a specific resource like level for the Dapper configuration? Like, could you go Microsoft App Managed Environment / Dapper, or does it have to be nested within that resource?
No, there is absolutely there's a dedicated resource. If we switch over to mine now, I can show you an example.
Yeah, let me do that, because that should then make it nicer in terms of that life cycle, I suppose. But it brings a good point, though. Who owns that responsibility and that ownership? Really, is what we're saying.
Yeah. So this is a Dapper component for working with storage queues. So it's using the bindings part, and it's working with storage queues, and it is associated with a container app environment. And then the critical part down at the bottom is this thing called the scopes. And these are effectively text strings that match the app IDs of the applications that we deploy in. So we're saying that this Dapper component can be used by these particular applications or things with this particular scope.
Gotcha.
Now, I mean, there's merit in having them in the same file as the environment and where the storage accounts and things like that are deployed, because you want to be able to go and grab those secrets and the names out of your storage account.
True.
So you don't need to have the secrets floating around in
any downstream.
Any downstream places. Yeah. But actually, you can do that using the existing thing in Bicep anyway. So, I mean, there's a couple of options here. We could either manually add that to the container app environment.
I think
we can do it properly.
I think let's do it properly. You know, we're here, we're in the code, and we could probably reuse some of what you got there. So, given you're on screen, you may as well take over from that.
That one out of the way, and I will. So, should we put this in the same file as the one we had before?
Makes sense. Yeah, makes complete sense.
So those are. So we've got a storage account in there that we know we're going to need. We've got our container app environment. Oh no, we already done it.
See, I thought we had. Yeah,
we've already done one. Well, let's.
I did think that.
Check our container app environment is deployed.
I did think we had IAC already. But it's been that long and my brain's all over the place. I was just going with it.
Why is that not showing up in my deployment then?
Is it? We're not calling it yet, though, are we? We've only got a workflow for the core base infrastructure. We haven't.
Yeah, the resources should still show up, though.
Oh, you didn't delete them, did you?
Yeah, so I deleted everything. So that's the container. Oh, what's that one there? Oh, did we actually create? Well, it looks like we created one for. We did. We created the whole file.
Yeah, I thought we did. That's why I was a little like, okay, I'll go with it.
All right then. And actually, interestingly, we did it for both of them, and we made the decision to put those inside with the app, which is, I think the jury's still out on that one. I'm not sure about that. So which one we're going to deploy then? We're going to do
player decisions.
Player decisions. Let's go find that. So we now want to deploy that, don't we? So we want our player decisions API. And we're going to want, is that about inline? Nope.
There's one indentation level, I think.
So this is going to be
deploy app.
Yeah, deploy container app.
Yep.
And that's going to.
So be a run.
Runs
on.
Yeah. Runs on.
Ubuntu-latest.
Yeah. And it also needs the previous step because we only.
Yes, which was deploy image. Yeah, you got
image.
Sweet. And then what we can do is
the condition as well on the if.
No, we don't need the condition because it won't run unless the deploy image one run anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of implied by dependency.
Yeah. So then we're going to need that setup that we had before.
Exactly.
Environment and our permissions.
That's it.
In fact, let's just.
Yeah, you may as well copy it all exactly.
Take all of that. And then I've got to sort out some indenting.
Yeah, it's all just one level there, I think.
One more there.
Good. That looks good.
We don't need to check out, do we? I don't think.
Yes, we will because we're going to be
the bicep file.
Exactly.
Right. So we should have that then now. So then we're going to need an Azure CLI task, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember if the let me jump across back to my screen here. Oop. I'm just going to take a look, see what the actions are. So there was like an ARM template deployment. Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to do this through the AZ CLI.
The CLI. Yeah, fair enough.
There you go.
Yeah, the CLI will work.
Is that so? It was AZ.
Oh, it was.
What's the latest version of it? The other CLI. There you go.
Oops. Clicking on the wrong thing. Yeah, we'll jump back.
So we should have that one. And then we're going to have. What else did I just find then? Come on, there you go.
So it's going to be, yeah, exactly. You got it.
Just grab that. Let me go back onto there. With. Do we know what version is the current version?
I can check.
Be indented again.
2.38.0.
38, is it? Excellent. Right then. So, and then our script is going to be what, an AZ deployment group.
Deployment group create, and then I think it's dash template dash file.
Yeah. And then that's going to be. Do we want to set a working directory, or do you just want to navigate directly into it? So it'd be.
I think navigate into it. It's easy enough, isn't it?
Or slash spacebar dot player decision slash IAC slash template dot bicep.
Cool. And do we take any parameters for that? I don't remember.
We are going to need the resource group. No, we put a prefix on there. We've got a container app image, which we will need to change. And we've got a container registry password.
As a parameter?
Although that's...
that was a GitHub secret, wasn't it, I think?
Yes.
Oh, it's a PAT token, isn't it? So we'll need to store that as a PAT.
Well, no, you should be able to get it from the GitHub token, shouldn't you? The one that's available in Action.
If we give it enough permissions, yes, we could, yes. True. So we might need to play with the permissions, actually. Let me take a look at that.
And then that's going to be... and then we're going to need to build that as a string, aren't we?
Yeah, so we could give it... give it read write on the packages.
Yeah. Let's just wrap that around so I can see what I'm doing. Right, what's my... Let's store these as some variables somewhere. So we want... Oh, we've already got it up there. Image name. Go us. Image name. And that will. Does that need to have the registry on it as well?
If you just go up again a sec, I didn't quite. Oh,
No,
yeah, I think we got it there.
We'll have to tell it where the registry is.
You will, yeah, because otherwise...
That should work, shouldn't it? Let's just double check that. Yep. And then I would want... Can I put parameters, multiple parameters here? I can do that.
Yes. Yeah, you can. I don't remember the exact syntax, right? But you can.
the only other bit we're going to need, I think. And that's going to be our GitHub token, we think. Let's just compare that to what we had before. Yeah, it does need the GHC.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to need env.registry.
A slash in between.
Yeah. Slash. That should be right, isn't it? And oh, need lowercase. What am I doing that on uppercase for?
For multiple parameters, it looks like they're just using the dash parameters property, and then they're all just password separated.
So if I do dash parameters like that,
yeah,
and then space separated, are they?
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Okay. And then we need -G for our resource group name, which I don't think we have anywhere yet, have we? We haven't deployed that up yet. So let's just create a new one of those for our resource group. And that one is called
Margaret.
Don't start with Margaret again. She's having time off.
Well deserved.
G $resource group. So -G shorthand for minus resource group. That looks about right, doesn't it?
That looks like a thing.
Yep. Thing. Well done. those bits.
Deployment group create dash template file. Well, have you got the double quote? Yeah, there we go. You spot it.
Parameters. Got the char,
Good.
token, and the resource group.
The only thing I'm not convinced that token is going to work, because remember that we needed to go for a personal access token for some reason. But let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. I mean, if the permissions aren't right by default, we can change the permissions of the token.
We used that.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we? Yeah.
So we
Good point.
It up there.
Good point. Maybe it was something we were doing locally then. I don't remember what we were doing. Anyway. Sure, it's all good.
Interesting to see, I think.
So did we want to also add a next action? Let's positively assume that one works.
Yes.
So then actually deploy the... Oh, you've already deployed the image, sorry, in the bicep file, haven't you? Because you've passed in the image name. Cool. You don't need to do what I was thinking of.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're good, actually.
Yeah, so we should be grabbing the latest version, and we should be grabbing the version that's tagged with the char.
Cool, perfect. Let's give it a go. Ship it.
What's the worst that can happen?
Exactly. Let's live on the edge.
This is new. This came up for me the other day. This is a new Git commit thing.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
No, I don't know. It threw me the other day, and I don't quite know. I was like, what's this file?
That's the experience that you get if you were changing the file, like in command line.
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm guessing it means you can have more expressive commit messages, which you couldn't do, like, because it was a single line that popped up on a dialog box at the top of the page. Interesting.
So if they changed the capabilities of the Git extension then in VS Code, I guess.
I'm guessing so. I only saw it the other day for the first time, and I was like, "That's weird."
Interesting.
It caught me by surprise because I thought something had gone wrong. I thought that doesn't usually appear.
That's the right way to go.
Yeah. So what have we done? We have added deploy to container app for decisions API. See, and then I close that, I guess. And then I do a push. It feels a bit disjointed, that experience does.
It does just kind of feel like forced in your face, going, right, make your change. Thanks.
Well, I've certainly done it.
Exciting.
What's that one doing out on its own? What have we done? What's build image doing?
Oh, that one was if it was not main, it would just build the image and check it works. So that's fine. It's working
Right, okay.
as intended and expected. Nothing to see here, Your Honor.
Again, fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Oh, yes. Just checking on my phone here whether we've had any comments. There we go. Keep that one on LinkedIn just on the side there, just in case, because that's one of the ones that doesn't seem to pop up in this chat for whatever reason. Or I think we can't respond to it or something. There's some strangeness anyway. Right, so image deployed. Good.
Now we see.
There is one downfall.
Uh-oh.
Is if we change the infrastructure as code and don't want to change the image, we still have to build a new version of the image.
If we change the infrastructure code,
So to deploy a new version, we'd have
Yeah.
to go through that process.
yeah, it's a weird setup, that is. I'm thinking about how that would work in quote unquote real world. You would probably want to deploy. Yeah, you'd probably want to do that independently, but your bicep file is now your deployment of your container app. So in essence, you're changing your IAC is your application deploy at that point.
But I guess what I'm thinking of is if there was like a core infrastructure change to, like, say, Dapper configuration or scaling number of instances, let's say we wanted to do it as an infrastructure as code change.
Oh yeah, okay.
That would still have to build a new version of the app, a new image, publish it to the registry. So there's potentially a little bit of waste in there.
Yeah, you almost want
optimization.
You almost want them to be two separate actions, don't you?
Yep.
But the building the pipeline. Oh, hello.
Oh, it worked. Look at that.
Well, that's astounding. So before I go look, let's just finish that line of thought.
Well,
So
yeah.
you'd want to basically, at the point where you made a code change, you'd want to deploy up a new image and then deploy up the IAC as well, potentially. Whereas if it was just an IAC change, you'd only want to change the IAC.
Yes. So effectively then, there's some interesting complexities in that from an orchestration perspective of the jobs.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll come back to that one.
You can treat, or you can just use templates, couldn't you? Or just to basically.
I mean, what I've done in the past is keep the. What have I done? I think what I tried to do in the past was deploy the app using the CLI instead, and I don't know if I had as many infrastructure as code changes. So, yeah, it's an interesting thought, actually.
We have a thing.
But does the thing?
Hang on, I'm gonna tease it out.
Remember that image problem before?
we've got that bit done. That's okay. Excellent. That's good. Cancel that one. Right. Come on then. This time. When we're going revision management. Get in.
Versions. Look at that.
We've got a hello world.
That's positive.
Yep.
That
I'm assuming we put the hello world on there.
I was going to say, I assume we've done
We've
that
not
too.
just randomly deployed something else. Main.go, simple request, in your controller. Hello world. Right, we have a
There we
hello
go.
world on there. And we've also got a...
I think this one was one that we didn't really call from an external source, wasn't it? It was just a local... It's not really using Dapper, is what I'm saying.
But no, the post will.
The post will, yes, you are 100% correct.
So that's logged in there, which means if we go to
The storage accounts.
the storage account, in fact. Oh, what's going on with that? Stop it. Yep. So we go and find the storage account.
So whilst you're finding that, the other thing I've been battling with here, whilst we've been trying to set up and everything, is my day-to-day driver now is a Mac, and I'm using like my keyboard and my mouse with a KVM switch. Now switching between my Mac and my PC gets very confusing.
Ah.
But there we go. That looks like it worked.
Out of interest on that front, as a slight aside, have you got a full KVM there? Are you doing keyboard and display?
Yes. So I have 4K at 60 hertz. HDMI 2 is what it says on the box. It's got a couple of USB 3 ports there. Specific reason I got USB 3 was because the Camlink 4K that is controlling my SLR here, or rather taking the input on my SLR. I had another KVM switcher which didn't have USB 3, wasn't enough bandwidth to take the input, basically.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I elected for... I've got multiple PCs connected to the monitor, and they're connected to different ports directly to the monitor, but I've got a USB switcher. So I effectively have to do two steps. I have to switch input and have to press the button on the box that switches the keyboard.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, just one button, change between the two.
Yeah. I mean, it just does mean on the ultra wide I can do picture in picture and things like that, and split the screen on the two, so I can effectively have both machines running and then alternate using the USB switcher between them. So I never do it, but I
I have the capability.
I ought to at some point.
Oh, good.
Right, so we have a thing deployed, which was...
We do, and it should be fairly painless to do it for the other API now.
You want to do the other one?
Yeah, I do. All right, let me switch to code and let me bring my screen back up. Ta-da. Right, and let me pull this down. Right. In fact, I'll close that a minute. Close that. Right, so we have Player Decisions API, which now has those lovely changes. Thank you, Matt. And we're going to go to the Player State API and basically do the same thing all over. So let me copy that. So we're going to be on latest. Needs deploy image. Yep, we need the same. Production.Azure needs that right token for the OIDC to work.
We ought to be able to componentize these, or to...
That'll be the next step.
Yeah.
So then actions checkout, log into Azure. Yes. This time, this is what will change. So we want to go source. Spacebar.player state. Oh, that's not going to work nicely. I'm going to be lazy. Go. IAC template. And are there any different parameters? And registry. Image name and SHA.
We just need to add the resource group in.
Registry, image name, SHA, cool.
I think because we copied and pasted this from the other one, so...
I'm just double checking that Pastas didn't do something. You know what Pastas is like. Pastas have screwed us a few times.
Yes. It really hates future us.
Yes. Right. So yeah, it's just the resource group, as you say, that needs going in. Which I don't remember what that was. Oh, easy enough. There you go. Right. I'm going to assume that that's going to be fine. Oh, look at that. Why
Well,
is
yours
it
is different than
co-authored?
mine now as well.
Why is that co-authored though? What did you Is it? What did you co-author?
I don't know.
I mean, cool. Is it that intelligent? It's sensing the stream when going, ha! I'm one better than you. No, I think what it is because I pulled the changes down, had a draft already of the other file.
Right.
It's got a bit confused, I think, what's going on. Anyway, update state. Of course, I don't remember that. I'm going to switch screen a minute while I go and remember my token. So back to you.
Okay.
Or temporarily whilst I get my token back.
Well, whilst you're doing that, I'm going to go and have a look at the infrastructure deploy, the base infrastructure one, because that's relatively simple and basically the same thing as what we've just done. So.
Yes. Key.
Where
Copy. I'm going to switch back now.
All right, carry on.
There we go. Oh, what's going on? Pastas definitely did something different.
Or at least not consistent.
Yes. We have been consistently inconsistent. That's one thing about Pastas. And arguably Currentus. Because we are part of the problem. So, yeah, we've kept that build state as part of the path. But I have a feeling that the player decision API might be a little more rigorous in its build. Player decisions, build and push container image, whereas player state... yeah, we are very much inconsistent. In one, we're running it as a .NET build. In the other, we're just doing a Docker build. I love it.
So I think, the intent was it's the same principle in both, isn't it? Is
Exactly.
basically having to have, we want to have some sort of check to make sure that
Exactly.
the thing will actually build before you go down the route of, like, if you're on a different branch, you don't want to be deploying.
Exactly. I mean, my preference would be to build the Docker file because that's more closely resembles what the end package is going to be. But yeah, again, good discussion point. Good job, Pastas. Well done. Right, so after this, we'll have a couple of APIs which are in a CI/CD pipeline effectively at that point.
Yep.
What was the original suggestion that you had? Because there were two options, weren't there? We've gone for the apps option. I've forgotten the very first one you said now.
Well, there was the moving the base infrastructure deploy into the actions as well, which we haven't got there yet.
Have we not?
No, because what we were setting up last time was to set up the.
Oh, we haven't. No, yeah, we've got a file for it. We haven't got anything in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I've just been in the process of effectively copying what we had before and doing the same thing again in there. So.
I was going to say, which in fairness isn't going to be that hard, is it?
No.
There we go. I'll hand it back to you then, if you want to carry on with that.
Okay. Yep.
There we go.
So, in this case, we're just going to go to source IAC template. core.bicep, because again, we are consistent with our naming.
Consistently inconsistent. That's what we were rebranding this. Oh, that would have been a great name.
What for the whole stream? Consistently.
Yeah.
Future us will hate this as well, isn't it?
Oh, there's so many great names. It's like I was chatting with Steph. Steph and I have got a great idea if we ever decided to do a podcast together. What was it called? It was anyways, because we go down so many rabbit holes to find that we go anyways to go back to the original topic. Yes.
We're going to need a new environment variable. What level do they live at? They're directly at the top, aren't they? So, and resource group is going to be ToolUp Tuesday, although we should probably change that name because it's Wednesday.
It's Tuesday in our hearts, okay.
So we're going to do AZ group create -n environment.resource group -minus location, whatever that location is. What did I pick? What is going on with my North Europe? I should do that one.
Ah, yes, because we did a subscription level, didn't we, if I remember?
Well, I thought we did, but then I looked at it and then it doesn't. So,
maybe we talked about it.
We did talk about it because I've been doing a lot of stuff recently at subscription level.
Yeah.
Which adds it's really nice, but it adds some minor little levels of complexity to it, which particularly around scopes, particularly about if you've got a subscription, you're deploying something at subscription level and you're deploying to multiple resource groups, you've got to make sure you manage parsing which resource group you need to be talking about at any one point in time. And then it creates some interesting challenges around modules from what I remember as well. So,
gotcha.
Right, so we didn't do that. So I need to create my EZ group create. And dot. And that should do it. Out of interest, what does that do if it already exists?
Should be fine. It should just ignore it, I believe.
Well, let's just try it. Creator, not that one.
Very close to crater. You wouldn't want your resource group in a crater, would you?
So it just returns the same thing. Right, great, okay. So that will absolutely do what we want it to do. The interesting thing will be whether or not that service principal that we use for the identity has permissions to be able to do that.
If it's the same resource group, it should be fine.
Yeah, I can't remember whether I scoped the permissions of that service principal to contribute at the resource group level or contribute at the subscription level.
But again, this is a really good discussion, right? In terms of linking it back to the OIDC stuff, span of control, the span of like the blast radius kind of idea here as well, that you don't want to give one principal access to everything. You'd want to componentize that and have almost that
and the reality
kind of pattern.
Is that we've given it contributor access, which you may or may not want to do. Like, it depends on how you want to lock those counts down. Like, you might want to restrict it to only allow it to do the actions that you know it's going to need to do, and then you can grant additional permissions by exception rather than.
Yep, indeed. Let's see.
So That all looks okay though, yeah.
As far as I can see, yeah. I think let's see how it goes.
Way of changing this. I don't like this new thing. So
has that been since you've been on your new machine, or is that
no, this is still
genuinely
the old one.
What I'm going to do for a moment.
Oh, I didn't pull.
Oh dear. Oh, you didn't pull.
I did the bad thing.
Oh, now we're having merge hell.
Oh no, I did a bad thing and didn't do the thing before I did the thing.
Not the thing. It's anything but that thing.
When do I want output will be, wouldn't it? Right. Come on, Mr. Git. How do I get out of this?
Let's see. So Git. Right, there we go. There we go. Divergent branches. Yeah, so you could, I suppose. You could. Yeah, rebase. Would rebasing help in that instance? Because you bring the change up onto the head of the branch, which was a change. So.
What, a git pull minus rebase?
Yeah.
Origin main like that.
I think so. I'm just looking at what that is saying above, though.
Boom. That's it. I think that's for applying that.
Yeah, the config level, isn't it? What you want the default to be. Yeah.
Right, so I should now be able to do git push.
Yep, there you go.
So what have I just done there?
So this is really hard to try and describe visually in a small little window here. But effectively, the change that you wrote a change onto the head of a list of changes.
Yeah, on my local machine.
On your local machine, exactly. But obviously I made a change which you hadn't quite pulled down yet. You were excited in your development, you went ahead, you went and pushed and went, oh no. And then what it tries to do when it pushes is it needs to synchronize first. It needs to kind of pull to make sure it's in the right state. But because you've got it staged in your local environment, you've committed that change to your local repository, it's gone, I don't quite know what to do here now because this has moved on. You haven't got a latest and I'm a bit confused here. So this is where we need to kind of intervene as the developer to say, this is explicitly what I want to do. So rebase effectively takes that change that you made and rather than applying it on the previous head, gets that new head of the list, pulls it down from the origin, applies it to that, and that's how we then had that clean state where you can go, right, we'll push to that.
What a great explanation. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So,
but you do need to be very careful with rebases and things like that, though, for obvious reasons.
So something failed and then something worked. Oh, because I changed the test file, test HTTP file. That's why the display decision is going. Invalid workflow. Oh, because I've copied and pasted. Foolish. Right.
Did a thing.
Actually, I don't even know why I've got all this second job anyway. I don't need that one.
That's true, yeah.
I don't need any of that at all. I literally just
you literally that line 48 onwards.
So let's now get rid of that.
I mean, I humoured you though, so.
It should be there like that.
That should be it. I agree.
That looks a lot simpler, doesn't it?
Love it. We're refactoring on the go as well here. Refactoring, we're rebasing.
Engineering mistake.
Rewinding. Regrouping. Recouping. I'm out.
I was just letting you go until you ran out of steam.
I know, my brain is hurting at this stage. dear. Yes, what I was going to do, by the way, let me jump and show my screen here. I was just going to show something which is interesting as well from a GitHub perspective,
Yes.
kind of, but something which also influences actually what we need to think about in terms of our life cycle, our CI/CD, and what we're doing here. So, what we've got configured on the repository is Dependabot. So for anyone who doesn't know, Dependabot is a friendly bot that is available in GitHub that is scanning your dependencies basically in the background, a source composition analysis tool. And what it's looking at is going, you've got these dependencies. I can see there is version 1 here. Version 2 is actually the latest. Maybe you want to go and use that. So all of that hardship that we have as developers about maintaining the latest and greatest of stuff, it helps us do that, which is great. But the problem is, how do I know that when I merge that change, I'm not going to break anything? And what we've got right now is we have an action which anytime there's a PR, it will go and add that to our project. The reason it doesn't do that for Dependabot is because it's I think it's because it's coming from a fork from memory. Yeah, exactly. So it can't necessarily trust what's coming in. But the problem with this right now is we don't know if when we bump actions setup.net from 1 to 2, whether that workflow will carry on working or not. We don't have any way to kind of test or verify that. So if I hit merge right now, who knows what's going to happen? You know, it's a bit Wild West there. It's nicer when it's you've got something that you can go and run. So as an example, with the Docker image one, the Docker build push action, we could, in theory, get it to run just that build image step. So that's something which maybe we could configure to say, you know what, we want this to run in this specific scenario as well. So maybe we need to tweak whatever the criteria was there, which I can't remember.
Can you add specific criteria in actions to say this is a Dependabot request?
I don't believe so.
No?
I don't believe there's like an on-Dependabot pull request kind of thing. No trigger for that. What you could do is check if the source committer was Dependabot or something like that.
Yeah.
But again, is that potentially open to some attack there? Anyone could change their committer name to Dependabot, not be signed, and
yeah, very true. I suppose you do it in conjunction with signing commits, don't you, at some point?
But yeah, I'm just intrigued. What did we do? Decisions API. Here we go. Build. So if the right. So we're only doing it on a push to main.
Right. Yeah.
Even though we will trigger it on a pull request as well. So what we need is almost if it's that or not a push to then allow it to work.
Yes, and then I get you. Yeah. I'm just thinking about the knock-on effect of the other jobs.
Shouldn't be any.
They should be fine because they're all on.
Exactly, because it would only be on the deploy image one, which would then do that one. This one's isolated on its own here, so that should be fine. So yeah, that's how I would fix that, and then we could then go and check whether this would actually go and run them. And once we get a green, we can ship it, and then we're good.
Yeah. I mean, I think Dependabot's really cool. I think, but it's bringing to the forefront something that developers should have been thinking about for a long time. But
it is absolutely. And when you think about what was the statistic? It was from the Sonatype software supply chain report. in 2021. It was something like 650% increase in supply chain attacks.
Yeah.
And when you think about all of those dependencies that have been left, we're not just talking like modern ones, we're talking those legacy apps that are buried away, which no one thinks about or cares about anymore. They just keep the lights on. Ooh.
And it's the tree as well is the important part there.
It's
not necessarily like you might have a dependency that is smack bang up to date, but if that dependency itself has dependencies on stuff that are 3-4 years old that have known exploits in them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And, yeah, absolutely. You need to. But like I say, I mean, in fact, all of the kind of advanced security stuff in GitHub is a fascinating thing because it is, like I say, raising all of those things that developers have been almost sweeping under the carpet for a little bit.
Well, Dependabot, I think, is available outside of advanced security from memory. It's things like CodeQL, well, the code scanning capability, dependency review, or dependency insight, I think it's called, and the secret scanning capabilities, because there is a secret scanning in public, but there's a slightly different version in the private where you can put your own.
I was going to say, one of them runs pre-commit, doesn't it? Is that right?
I think it all does now. The pre-commits. It will detect it on the push now.
Right. Okay.
I don't think it's a pre-commit. I think you'd still need your own pre-commit hook locally to check it locally. I'm going to be really bad. I'm going to commit this in main. Don't tell anyone. No, don't have a go.
I think deployed up, by the way, and it'll work fine. And we've got green.
Oh, great.
Let's get her status working.
It's not. Uh-oh. Did I break it? I did a thing. I definitely broke it. I think I didn't use quotes.
Oh dear. What have we done?
That was exactly what I did. At least I could triage it really quickly. Right. Start, change, done. There we go. Right. So now, if I which won't work, because it's still using the old version of the. I need to try and rebase it.
I've just double checked player state, and that is up and running and deployed.
Nice. And it's not coming from a fork, sorry, it's coming from a PR. What I said earlier was incorrect. But which PR are we doing here? We are doing the build push action. So build push action. Oh. I didn't see. Oh, yeah, bumped stop. There we go. It's a bit of a weird thing to do, but just for the sake of showcasing what I said earlier, I'm bringing the changes we've just made back into that Dependabots branch.
Right.
So it has that latest version of the action. So that will trigger now this to run. And oh, look, it's going to go ahead build the image for us. And then once we can verify we've got green, we can go ahead and happily merge that then. And that's where CI/CD comes in really nicely, because when you have things like Dependabot, which can then help make life easier, manage those dependencies for you, and you can go, oh, look, all my checks passed and all my tests ran and everything else. Yeah, that looks fine. Merge it in. You go.
Yeah, I still get nervous about that.
Oh, I agree. So do I. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't recommend just being as blasé as I said. But I would still do some due diligence and checks. But it gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling that actually, you know what? We've at least covered the bases. It looks like it's good. Let's just do some final checking.
Yeah.
Maybe do a smoke test or something to verify. and then off you go. Yeah, but as you can see, we are building. Well, it's not pushing; it's just building. Probably need to rename that. But there you go. You can see it built it. All looks good, and we now have a tick against the PR. So you know what?
Let's merge it in.
Just to end it, let's merge it in. There we go.
Exciting stuff.
Job done. Job.
And then
done.
I guess you need to do the same on the other one as well.
Yeah, exactly. But that one I think needs a bit more work because it hasn't even triggered. So I think we need to just look at what the other one is
Just
configured.
merge it in, it's fine. Because otherwise I get emails, you know.
Done.
What's the worst that can happen? We experiment, so you don't have to. There's nothing.
Forever embedded in this PR. Oh, there we go. But in seriousness, at some point I will go and investigate why that didn't trigger because, again, you know, it's quite nice to have that because the amount of projects I've got on GitHub where I just do not keep an eye on the dependencies and get notifications from Dependabot, see that everything's green on my builds and my tests and go, yep, fine, just merge it, done.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, I've got something like 120 or so in repositories in my personal GitHub under my user, and a lot of them don't have tests, but I still get the benefit of Dependable.
Yes.
Which just makes it all the more complicated now when I get
well, as an example, right?
Come through and say you've got to update this and this and this.
As an example, cloudwithchris.com, I've got Sonar Cloud running, so I can see, you know, no code smells or anything, all good. Nice. Can see that everything's run there. The one that hasn't is the PR to the project, and then the preview, but I know why the preview isn't working, and that's as expected. So for me, I'm happy to go and merge that one. But the one that I'm not happy to merge yet, and I need the time to investigate, is this bootstrap bump from 5.13 to 5.2. Because you'll notice my build is failing. I've actually tried rerunning that build and it still fails. So there's clearly something which I need to tweak.
A legitimate issue. Yeah.
Yes. So there we go. I think that's probably a good stopping point, isn't it? For
it is. We should probably have a little bit of a chat about what we do next.
Yes.
Because at some point we need to start actually
building a game.
We ought to make something that's playable.
Yeah, this is fine. We can keep going.
It's great fun as always, mate. I'm always happy to do this.
Yes, but no, you are spot on. You are spot on. No, I think we took a good detour for all the DevOps stuff. We got that sorted. We've got a good foundation, especially if we bring any new services in as well. We've got something to work from. So I think we'll probably want to get that kind of state engine kind of running. So something which calculates this is the initial state, thing happens, tick, we're now at state 2. Let's play the game again kind of thing. And just get that basic mechanism running. Because then from there we can build out all of the game functionality, let's say the canon type stuff. But that's more of a game mechanic, which is fundamental, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'd be nice to get to a stage where you as a user could do something and then see a result. Like to have something, or the two of us as users
can call an API to see what's going on.
Call an API, make a turn, do a turn's worth of data, have the world event kick in, apply whatever events that we want.
Yep.
And I think what we're going to need to do is in the next time we do this is to define the scope of what we do to keep it super simple.
Yes, it's something that can easily snowball.
Yeah.
I think that's the one risk for this.
And I think the only reason I add that on is because if you look at our sample document we have for our player state, it's a massive document.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. Yeah, we do not want all of that. We literally want the most simplest example.
Yeah,
that's why I say kind of canon functionality almost. It's just
even like it's literally here's a name, an integer field and a text field.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's all we
That's.
want to be able to pass in.
I think
So
that's
bit
as basic as you want it.
Have an event run on that. World events change. You gambled this way. I gambled this way. This is the winner for that day.
Yeah. Right. Right. Good. I think that kicks us nicely into that next session. A couple of weeks you're away, aren't you? So we'll figure out cadence and what we're doing when.
Yeah, we could always potentially do it next week if you're around Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah. Let me take a look at the diary. We will get something out on that. I think Tuesday might work.
Yeah.
We'll get something out.
I'm actually at home next week, but yeah, we can
Cool.
do that anyway. So
cool. Sounds good. As always, very good fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for joining in, and we'll let you know when the next one is. We'll post it out on the socials, etc., and we'll get back into a rhythm with things. And I should probably say as well, I'll be getting back into a rhythm with the blogging, with the vlogging, and everything else now that things personally have settled down a bit. Changed jobs, some life events with family, etc. So things now should stabilize a bit, and you'll start seeing everything a bit more frequent coming up again. So bear with, that's all kicking off again, and look for things very soon. But
I look forward to seeing them.
Yes. Thank you very much, and see you next time, my friend.
Okay, take care of yourself. Bye.
Bye.